Alright, so we're all good to go. I'll just be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about, and then we can hop into it.
Alright. You will
Now,
see I do like to get walled a lot.
alright, sounds good. First, let's talk about dealing with Bastion, since, that was something you guys struggled with, yeah. Um, so,
Yes.
really, when it comes to dealing with Bastion, you have options to work with. Like I was talking about before, you could try to go for the mirror matchup, which is pretty much what you guys decided to do here. There's a little bit of things that are different, but you decided to hit them back with the Bastion combo as well. So that's one way to go about it, is just pick the Bastion yourself, which is valid if you know how to play with the Bastion. Like, if that's something you guys are comfortable with, then go for it. But if it's something you're uncomfortable with, you don't always want to just force yourself into a comp that you're uncomfortable with, right? Because then they will just end up playing it better than you, and then you lose still,
Yeah.
right? So other things you can
Yeah.
do to work against a Bastion, generally speaking, right, Bastion is a spam character, right, which means that he thrives with slow fights where he gets to play at a long distance, because then he just goes pew pew spam spam, and he gets in a ton of damage and kills and whatnot, right? And that's how he gets his value. The slower a fight takes, and the further away he can play. So, the two compositions that would work best against a Bastion, the best, I mean, there's only really three compositions in the game. Have we ever talked through all three of the comps?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
yes.
have.
Yep, so we've already gone through them, right? A brawl, dive, and spam. So if Bastion is a spam character, do you remember us talking about like the rock paper scissors? Which composition is naturally best against the spam comp?
Let's see if I can get it right. Spam is good against dive. Dive is good against rush. Rush is good against spam.
Exact
Or brawl.
opposite order.
Rush brawl. Oh, back opposite. It's like I'm
Complete
gonna.
opposite
There's a
order.
chance I get this right, and a chance I get this wrong.
Yep, yep. So you got it in the complete opposite order. So a spam composition, or a dive composition, is good against spam. Naturally speaking, now it's not an end all be all, but it's a roughly speaking, because spam likes slow and far, and dive is able to close the distance instantly, right? So there's no playing far and slow against a dive usually, right? So they have a natural advantage. Now a brawl wants to play fast and close, and if a spam is just playing far away, then that puts it puts pressure on the brawl to get in, which just gives the natural advantage to the spam comp, whereas a dive comp needs to come to you anyways on a brawl, and brawl is also usually tankier, and they can kind of withstand a dive better than a spam could, right? Spam is usually squishier, more glass cannons. Brawl is tankier, so then therefore Brawl is going to be better against the spam composition, right? Does that make sense in the rock paper scissors?
Yeah, and this is where I'm seeing like trying to learn Junker Queen would be a benefit to me. Because Bastion can just eat through Rhine no matter what I try and do. And Ram, I just haven't been playing a lot of him lately, so I think Junker Queen or Ram probably are my best bets right now. If it's a brawl type setting.
Yeah, so I think you're right in that like Junker Queen's probably gonna be a little bit more agile, might be able to get up on top of the Bastion easier. Ram, he'd be okay, maybe not like wonderful against the Bastion. I think Junker Queen probably has the better kit to deal with him. But what were we just talking about as the so what would therefore be the, like, just reiterate what I just said. Against a Bastion, what composition faces him the best?
It would be a brawlier comp. No, not brawl, because that's poke. A dive.
Yep, exactly. So a dive comp usually works best against a
So
Bastion.
Diva,
Say that again.
my Diva would be my best
Mm-hmm.
bet out who I can play.
Yeah, exactly. Diva would be a really
Because
good pick.
Winston just gets deleted.
Yeah, exactly. So Diva's gonna be a really great pick against the Bastion because you can eat up a lot of his damage. You can dive on top of him, kind of combo with your team, and then if you're able to execute dives properly, Bastion will kind of just blow up against your high burst damage. So now the other option is you could mirror a poke comp against him, which is kind of the first thing we're talking about. Or if the map permits it, like this is a brawl map, then just play brawl and you can just try to do the same thing and just make sure you're running in quickly and not just sitting around, right?
Way
Alright.
faster than the poke comper
Yeah.
handle.
Yep, so if you're thinking about like heroes out of the tank lineup that would work good against Bastion, Diva, great. Junker Queen, really good. Roadhog, pretty solid. You can do, just average, probably be like Ramatra and Sigma, because Sigma would probably be pretty solid against him. Ramatra, he'd be okay. Reinhardt would be on the lower end. Zard would be okay. Monkey would be on the lower end.
Horse, good old horse.
Sorry, you're cutting out.
Horse is good against everyone.
Yep.
Sorry, give me 1 second. Horse, I know Horse is good against anything, so it's not really
Yeah, she'd be pretty solid too, right? Because she's a little bit of spam and brawl and stuff like that. So, yeah, she's really tanky. So, yep, she could do it too.
Yeah. Even with her nerf, she's still very strong.
Yep, 100%.
Which you'll see if we watch Kings Row, Route 66. We end up matching exactly, and then they lose their Mercy for a Life Weaver, and that's where we win.
Gotcha. Alright, so I would do your bet. If it's a dive map, dive would probably be a great comp. If it's a brawl map, go for like you can also play it based off of the map too. If it is like so because you have to remember that some comps are gonna be better on certain maps too, right? So
I'm starting to learn that more and more as I get better at Winston and a more serious dive and kind of like how I play my Diva dive type deal.
Yep, 100%. Alright, well, we can just hop into it. It'll be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about.
Alright.
Alright, so they dive your Ana. Ana gets rolled. Is there anything you could have done there to stop Ana from dying?
On Rhine, not particularly, because it's Kings Row. You're going to be playing the choke more than anything.
The only
I mean, there's probably something I could do, but I just don't see a point of having just been playing Rhine sitting up there with her.
Probably nothing mechanically that you can do, so there's nothing you could have, no move you could have made that would have helped, except for possibly communication. What is something you could have communicated that would have helped keep Ana alive?
I did up there and drop if you can. So I knew once I turned around and saw that she was already pushed in the hotel, it's like, I don't know if she's living that one.
Yeah. So, firstly, calling out the fact that they have a Symmetra, right? So, making out those key comments. And then, now that we know that, we want to be thinking about, like, okay, they're on Sim Bastion. Are they going to try to teleport anywhere, right? So you got to keep your eye out for the TP, and that's something that you can just be communicating and being aware of yourself. They have a sim, they might try to TP, call that out to your team, and then that can hopefully, be something that can hopefully keep your Ana alive, because there's nothing you can mechanically do from here,
Yeah.
Alright, so good swing damage. We get another Elan 2 with Fire Strike. We are probably a little too centered at the moment, positioning wise, right? Like, there's not a big reason why we need to be like over here to the right instead of like over here, right? Just backing up this way isolates us from our team more, puts us further away from cover, so we're kind of out in the open, kind of away from our team. Probably those aren't great for us at the moment. We shield, which is good. And then at this point, there's not really much you can do except for counter charge. You can, if you know that you're gonna die no matter what, you can try to like jump out of the way, but you also trying to just pin the Reinhardt down. So honestly, it was probably just the positioning there that would have helped significantly. You know, trying to position further to the left. You could have maybe at some point earlier when they're all in that corner tried to go for a pin play. So like here on the Reinhardt or something like that, you can try to like pin him into the phone booth or something like that, which could maybe burst him down. Ideas, not guarantees.
Just being more aggressive and just swing.
Yeah, so potentially trying to go for the short pin, or and then also just backing up to the left with your team. Okay, so question: if our plan was to go and contest him here all along, or if you know if that's the plan, then why did we give them the choke for free?
I was kind of getting yelled at, and I wanted to hold the choke, but everyone was like, "Just play back." So I was trying to be more of a team player than just playing what I knew would work better. So that's kind of how we just kind of got pushed back to that corner.
Then if we were trying to hold, I would say just commit to one of them, because choke is good play, back is good play, middle's the not good play. I think that we probably want to commit to either or. We don't want
one or the other.
Yeah, exactly. Because here we just end up playing like a little aggressively, and then we don't really get the advantage of like either or. So I think we probably just want to be careful. Now our team gets picks, which is really great. It just maybe like positional wise. Really good, really good. Okay, cool.
Everyone just keeps telling me don't play the choke for some reason. I'm like, okay, I'll play wherever you're wanting. It's a play by the hotel or the lobby corner there, kind of that area.
So
they were just like, don't play the choke. It's like, why not?
Do you?
And by them, I mean Will, the Bastion.
Do you maybe see what composition is your team running at the moment?
It's a weird mix of everything. Almost. I don't know what comp I would call that.
So I will say at the moment you have currently you have 2 dive characters, but you don't really have any like main central dive. You don't have any main central dive tank besides like the Echo. So really it's like 1.5, because Ana's really flexible, right? So you have Echo, dive, Ana, dive. Then you have 3 spam characters, right? You have Echo, Bastion, Bap, all spam. And then you have 3 brawl characters, Ana, Bap, and Reinhardt. And then Bastion maybe a little bit. So as of the moment, I'd say you guys are a brawly spam, right? Maybe like a tad bit more brawly, right? But your DPS, they're primarily spam characters, right? So do you see how there might be a conflict of interest in terms of play style if half of your team wants to play back and slow and half of your team wants to go in and fast. Do you see how that can maybe be kind of pulling your team in two directions?
Yeah, I can see that.
So that's kind of why you would have Will saying something like that, where it's just he's saying to back up, you're saying to push in, he's spam, you're brawl, right? So it's not an impossible comp to work with, but you, generally speaking, it's a lot of the times it's best to try to line up your composition in one centered direction. Like I'd say here, probably the most out of what do you say, like the oddball pick is probably like the Echo, right? Like Bastion can work in a brawl just fine. Everyone else works in a brawl. Echo, she's like flexible, so she's kind of okay in a brawl, but she's more divey and spammy than brawly. So she's kind of like the oddball out here. I would say Bastion kind of fits okay with it. So that's just things to keep an eye out for. I think that you can, honestly, in this situation, if you're trying to account for your team, like the problem is that at this point also the cart is already through choke, so there's less clutter to keep them in. Like with the cart in choke, it becomes really, really narrow. Now it's not as narrow, so you usually want to try to position behind the cart. So honestly, this corner would be fine. This corner would be fine too. Honestly, like both are good options. It's just once again like picking one of them, you know.
Yeah.
And just setting up. Honestly, I think that maybe back is like slightly better, and then forward would be perfectly fine, you know. Very nice. Yeah, there probably just back up because it's highly unlikely you kill anything at that point, and then you already have your ult, so you're just feeding them ult charge at that point as well. It's like even like peeking right now to Fire Strike, all this is just wasted health, wasted resources when you already have your ult, right? Drop shield, let it recharge. Same thing, we're just spamming Fire Strike, so just let them recharge. Save them for the fight. You don't need to be getting ult charge at the moment, so just kind of thinking about how that changes your playstyle. Okay, notice how we we're kind of conflicted there. It looked like we were holding forwards, and then we decided to back out. Which are we? Down up? Oh, Echo's up there. Okay.
No. She's there. I'm just trying to find the nearest cover because Bastion's in turret form, and he's already deleted my barrier. And I didn't want to just get trapped in that lobby because I know I will get exploded, so I was just trying to back to the next corner I knew of.
Yeah. Which the shield got broken primarily because we were so far forwards in the first place. Which I think if the rest of your team is holding back here, it's probably a good idea to hold back here. So maybe like backing up a tad bit sooner could have been a good idea. That way shield doesn't get melted. Because then, if their Reinhardt was paying attention, what's something he could have come and done?
I kind of end up. He's gonna drop the beam on me.
Who's gonna drop the beam?
Ryan. He's got his shatter.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yep.
I know what's coming next, and we both go to shatter, except his gets off quicker than mine.
That's unfortunate.
I thought I was dead there, but I cast my shatter. It looks almost the same time, but his just goes off. I don't know if I was a second behind or not. I wanted to retouch here, but everyone was like back. Like, okay. Or no. No, never mind. I get nanoed. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember everything we said. I feel like I was being told to back up, but then I get nanoed to try and
So,
retouch and.
are you, out of curiosity, so this is, once again, this gets into team coordinated play and how team compositions work into each other, or I'm sorry, not that, that's not what I meant to say, how you guys should be communicating with each other, which it would probably be really helpful at some point to do a, team session where we go over all of that, but for the moment I can just do it here since we're talking about it. Do you guys have a shot caller position?
It's supposed to be me.
It's supposed to be you. Okay. So then that could be something, if you're comfortable making those call outs, and I think a lot of times the tank usually works best at, by default as shot caller, since it's so much easier for you to say when you are pushing and backing than it is for your teammate to say when you're pushing and backing. So if this seems to be a repetitive thing, you can talk with them and say like, hey, I get it, sometimes I'm making, maybe you think that there's a better play, but for the most part, let's listen to the plays I'm calling and do that. And then if you really have, like, if I'm feeding, then you can call it out, and we can try to work with it, and of course if you have an idea, put it in, but generally speaking, let's just have me saying that when I push him back, because it is going to be very difficult for you to function if you have someone micromanaging you from behind the entire time, right?
And then I wasn't expecting nano here either. It's like, okay, well, I guess we'll back. Because somebody, I feel like somebody was saying, no, there's no point to retouch, and I get nanoed. I'm like, well, I'm this close. Might as well try something with it.
Yeah, and there's a big point to retouch. I mean, like, there's no reason not to. I mean, you're down one player, so at the moment you're going to be coming in down one person, which is still winnable, right? You guys can do that off of, do that down one. It's not a lost fight. What is the problem, right? Let's see. Try to be quicker with your Fire Strike peaks. A lot of times you peak with Fire Strike and then just eat like a ton of damage just because you're sitting there for the shots to come to you. You don't have to sit there and watch what your Fire Strike hits. Like, watch how we Fire Strike, and we just kind of like stare down our Fire Strike and walk and sit here in a straight line, just kind of looking at it as it goes through. When you could just be Fire Striking and ducking behind the corner instantly, right? So I'm noticing a lot of the times you just kind of overstay welcomes with Fire Strikes. What is the problem right here? Right here.
I'm low.
Oh, right here. Right.
And then I back into the open.
Yep. So peeking when down resources, backing out into the open. You didn't have a reason to peek or touch yet because you're waiting for your team to regroup. And why didn't you have to touch it?
There's still a handful of distance before they get the checkpoint.
Yep. Even now you have like 5 more seconds before they actually cap. So now we
and then
can
I get
touch.
the sauce.
Yep. So now we can touch, but we did that probably like 7 seconds too early, right? Which just is gonna eat through all of your resources and make it harder for your team and stuff like that.
Where did he drag? I actually don't know where he was when he dragged.
He was just behind cart here. You can see he's like right there behind cart.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Good dragon.
Okay. Maybe you could have pushed forwards to get past the dragon instead of sitting in it, is an idea.
Playing out in the open, brain, that's no good.
Alright, so obviously we get shattered while he's pushing in. At this point, do you know that he has shattered? Do you think?
I probably should have, but I don't. What I do? I don't remember thinking about it like I should have, like I normally do.
Gotcha. And do you generally feel comfortable knowing when the enemy tank has their ult?
Yeah, generally it's if I treat it as if I get halfway or more to my ult, then they're not far behind or they're at even with me.
Yeah, or rather just like think about it in terms of like when compare your ult versus their ult in terms of like, okay, at the start of the game, if we're both at 0 at the start and I got like a ton of like, I was going ham and I'm at 100% and you saw that they died instantly, well then they're probably gonna be pretty far behind. Maybe they're at like 50%. If they were like doing about even, maybe like, they're like 80, so you're a little bit ahead. So if you shatter, right, and then you know that they have theirs, and then you block their shatter, you look now, okay, they just ulted, they just used it. What percentage are you at now, right? And then that's how much, and then you can use that as a rough guesstimate, right? So they ulted, I'm at 30%. Roughly speaking, if we do the same amount, then that means that I'll get my ult 30% faster than them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you just gotta compare, you just gotta think about when was the last time they used it. If they just used it, they don't have it, compare what your ult charges to theirs, how much have they been doing, stuff like that, and then that's how you can figure out if they have it or not. Roughly speaking, it's gonna take about 2 fights to get an ult, so if Reinhardt shatters now, then that means he won't have it this fight or next fight, and then he'll have it the fight after.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So then that means that we probably should be blocking this, hopefully. Okay. At this point when you're just going for stall time, probably just try to get out as fast as possible. So use your Nemesis form. Okay, that's easy damage to eat up. Use your, on Sigma, use your grasp. You want to use it frequently because that helps compensate for eating up damage, but then also it will give you extra health, which lets you do extra things for your team and take space and get more aggressive. So generally speaking, it's good to use it early in a fight because then you'll get more usages out of it. And then, if you're using it at the beginning, you'll get more. It's because then you can use it at the beginning, maybe the middle, and maybe the end, or maybe beginning and middle, or beginning and end. Versus instead, if you use it in the middle of a fight, you only get maybe middle and end, right? So it's getting an extra usage out of it if you use it early. So here, if you see Junkrat spamming in, just go and eat that up, and then that's a lot of easy health.
Return to me. Barrier is nearly spent.
Okay, make sure you're grasping when you see people are looking at and shooting at you. Here we grasp when only a
grasp air.
Yeah, we're kind of grasping air, exactly, right? Rissa's not even really looking at you, and nobody else is looking at you, so we're just not gonna get anything out of that. Okay. Can you see a little bit about target priority here? Right, that's something we've talked about. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And we started talking about that too again at the end of, I believe, this round. It's like, okay, you know what? We all like to shoot the horse. Let's just forget the horse. And we'll start with the supports, the DPS, and then the tank.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so what could we be shooting at here rather than horse?
The Mercy. Or the Junkrat.
Yeah, Junkrat's probably a little bit easier, right? Just because he's out in the open and
Yeah, and he's
doesn't
not
have
as
cover.
mobile as Mercy.
Yeah. Yep. So Junkrat, very very easy target here, but we're a little delayed to look at him. Okay, but we're also notice how we're swapping back and forth between targets here, right? We're just going. We go Orisa, and then we're back to Junkrat, and then we are on Junkrat, and then we go back to Orisa, and then we're back to Junkrat, and then we're back to Orisa again, and then we look back to Junkrat again, and then we're back. Oh, we're back at Junkrat. So we just go back and forth and back and forth, and when you go and tickle everybody, then nobody dies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instead, you have to tackle one person over and over and over and over until they die, right? So pick a target, stick with it. The only reason why you would need to swap targets or want to swap targets is if someone is, if you have either you have gained an opportunity or lost an opportunity. So if someone else is now a better or easier target, or if the better or easier target has gotten away or healed or something like that, right? So a whole lot of kind of shooting nothing. I think maybe a little bit of improvement needed on like the mechanical landing of shots. Make sure you're putting effort into making sure each shot's connecting, and then probably also standing out in the open too, right? Probably lack of cover usage here at the moment, which is gonna get you shredded, right? Because even if we missed everything there, if we were further back here, then we're not gonna get shredded like that, and we can stay in the fight.
The barrier appears. I see you.
Look at that, 600. We got up to 775 HP there, right? Off of that spam, off of 500. So we got an extra 200 HP, right? 200 plus HP just off of soaking up that spam. So that's gonna be really valuable.
Collapsing the barrier.
Yeah, I can't make that jump.
I was like, I don't think I can, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Unfortunately. The more you know, though. Okay. So, let me take a look at this. We go tap tap, we miss those. Here we kind of just like fireball straight down the middle at absolutely nobody, so be intentional with where your crosshair is.
Yeah.
I would probably, if you're primarily like a Reinhardt player, I would say just like, if you're trying to pick up Sigma, just like practice his mechanics a little bit. Maybe go into like a tryhard free-for-all lobby or something like that, or go into maybe some quick plays and just try out his mechanics, get used to his orbs, because you want to get used to it. The main thing is just like make sure you're intentionally keeping your crosshair and stuff, because there'll be like times here where we're just like looking at nothing at all, right?
Sigma was the initial tank I used to get into tank, so when I was playing him a lot, it was a lot better, but then as I've gotten into Brawl more, he's kind of fallen by the wayside and just isn't my initial pick anymore.
Yep, fair enough.
It's all wrong.
That's, yeah, that's theirs.
It's wrong.
Okay, so firstly we get trapped, so keep your eyes open. What's the problem here when Arissa's pushing you? What do you do wrong?
I rock her in gold.
Yeah, so you rock her in cold, that's one thing. What's another thing right about now? Oh, where'd it go? Was that bugged? Oh, wait. Never mind, I guess that was a bug. Did you see that before? When we back just when I first mentioned something, Kiriko's ult was still up, but maybe that was a replay bug. It looked like we just kind of walked out of the ultimate, but I guess it's not here anymore. That's definitely
It might have just been ending.
Yeah,
Oh, it's not.
okay. So we get it here. There we go. Okay, so
Okay, it's there now.
there's that. Yeah, that's wild. But that's the problem, is that we step outside of the Kiriko ult, which isn't gonna be great. Instead of just like backing up towards our Kiriko, so backing up this way keeps us out in the open longer. This is cover right here, right? We step out of the ult, which means we'll be shooting slower and also moving slower, so we're an easier target. We're out in the open again, so notice that there's a continual trend as well as being out in the open, right? You're just
Not playing my corners as I should.
Yeah,
'Cause I know I
exactly.
should. I know I should. And I know to do better, but I just don't sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
In the heat of a moment, it's like, God, I'm getting irritated because I'm getting rolled and when stupid brain things, and it's like, whatever. So I kind of just start playing like a bot instead of intentional.
Exactly. Yep. And then that's the idea, is like to continue to play intentionally so that you can improve, and then it'll just come more naturally.
The point needs to be taken. Return to me.
Objective A captured. Escort the payload. Hello.
Barrier initialized. Barrier is nearly spent. Barrier is gone. But I believe barrier has fallen.
It's just unfortunate. The mage walks in on us and absolutely decimates us.
Barrier has fallen.
Try to rock the fig out of eat, but miss.
Yeah, here we push a little far forwards. Like, I just let the cart walk in ahead of you first before you start pushing. That way you have that cover of the cart. So, pushing a little early.
Put more up on the cart for the back. I'm very confused as to what happens there. Did I get froze just at the
Yeah.
right time, and then
Yep.
it can't? Because I was like, what the fuck just happened? Because I got froze and I wasn't fully sure what happened, but I can see now I got froze and then cleansed out of my ult. I was
Yeah.
hoping to kind of float out of it in time, but yes, I didn't.
Yep, you get frozen.
Ah,
But
and then I get cleansed.
Yeah,
I was hoping I could float out of it in the right time and try and do something while they're focused in on the front, or on the team.
Yeah, gotcha. There's a lot going on here, so let's see if we can break some of it down. Firstly, kind of like wasting shield when we have like to. So watch spamming up shield when it's already low HP, or you just leave it down unless it's really needed.
Actually, killed one, so that didn't help.
Yeah. Here maybe it would have been helpful if we used the initial burst to go to the top left, because you know when you ult and it kind of like gives you that like initial little burst of movement. Notice how we go straight up and to the right with it instead of up and to the left. So we hear the ult, and then we go ult, and then notice how that launched us backwards instead of to the left. So we kind of ult a little bit wrong, and then it looks like we're a little bit slow. The other thing is I believe when you are using your updraft, you're also moving slower too with that, right? Once you activate it.
I believe. I'm
Right?
not too sure.
I'm pretty sure.
I feel like that's true. Going off of memory.
So, therefore, probably would have been better to wait until you're out of it and then use it, right? When you're grasping, push forwards and get in their faces. It encourages them to shoot into your grasp more. Don't feed with it because they can still like stun you and things like that. But definitely something to consider.
The barrier appears.
Remember I said I like to get walled?
Say that one more time.
Remember how I said I like to get walled off?
Yeah.
I believe it's this map. I do it like 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Just thinking I wasn't that far ahead, but I guess I probably was. Oh yeah. How? Oh, they're just sitting on a cart. That's why. I'm just determined to always try and take the space if it's there, instead of give it to them. But I guess that's not supported, right?
Yep. So, it is a pretty good idea to take space. What are some things that you can do that would help you take space while not getting walled or managing when you get walled?
Be a little slower and have my team with me.
Yeah, so you can be a little slower, have your team with you. You can be intentionally watching for the maze, so you can try to have teammates ready to help you if you know that you're gonna get walled. Try not to put yourself in positions where you can get walled easily, so especially like in corridors and stuff like that, where you can get walled. Don't put yourself like forwards ahead of people, ahead of cart. Keep in mind that like if they only have one wall to wall you against, right? So here how it's an open-ended wall, maybe we can even position a little bit more towards the center where we can run one way or the other. Can May freeze you through your shield?
I don't think so, no.
So maybe we hold on to shield and have that ready, right? But we kind of wait here is a problem, or we kind of had it down there, right?
Yeah, I think I do it again here, so. Yep. Just wait. Here it comes.
Right, so once again, notice how we burned all of our shield before we get walled. We burned our grasp. We walked ahead of our team. We know the one thing you can do is try to bait out the wall, so you can kind of like walk forwards and then back up. We can also take a different route if you want to here to make it, instead of trying to run down middle, maybe you, I don't know, because you're the shot caller, you can pick the pathing, right? Maybe you run around the left side, because maybe over on this side it's a little bit harder to wall, it's less of a choke. Maybe you go and run through high ground. You come from right side, right? Different ideas, right? They can potentially help. So rather than just running down mid where it's easiest for them to wall you. So alright, so let's start to do some wrap-up review stuff. Alright, so
I seek answers when
ability wise, right, you have grasp, use it towards the start of the fight, use it to get your ult, or sorry, your health up, right? Rock, I think just mechanics, working on that, just practice, since I don't think you play him super frequently, right? Is that accurate? You don't play Sigma super frequently?
Not a, when I was first picking up tank, he was the first tank I picked up, and I was pretty good with him. And then I just started picking up other tanks.
Yeah, so
He kind of fell by the wayside.
So I think practice and intentionality with mechanics and rock will be good. Shield, don't spam it up for every little thing, right? We've talked about that with Reinhardt too, but Sigma, you have even less shield to manage, so be very intentional with how you're using it. Don't spam it up when it's low HP, give it time to recharge all the way. Hold on to it for when it's really needed, right? All of that, probably like a medium priority for you to work on. Ult usage, I don't really think that there was too much. I think it was just like using that initial burst, because you move forwards, and then when you are doing it, oh, I guess actually you don't move slower. Never mind. I think I said that one incorrectly. It looked like it, but that's probably just because you were getting slowed.
Yeah.
Right. So overall, that's lower. Reinhardt, Shatter was lower. Abilities, pin. We don't really use pin too much. Consider short pins. Short pins are really valuable because you get in a ton of damage for little risk because you come out of it so quickly, right?
I've kind of been yelled at for my pinning, so it's kind of if I'm playing casual, I'm pinning all the time and flinging around for fun. But during the match, it's kind of more of a laid back ability because I've been yelled at for it.
Yeah, which
like I've gone for short pins and then I get yelled at for it. Okay, whatever.
Which really, it's all about when and how you're doing it. If it's a good pin, and then nobody really should be yelling at you for it. If you got value,
I've had good pins get yelled at. I've had bad pins get yelled at. I've had both.
Yeah, well then that's something to maybe talk about with people of like, hey, what's the problem with using this ability if it was done correctly, right? Because there are good pins and there are bad pins. There's ways that you can use pin to get value, and there's ways that you can use it to feed, right? It's very boom or bust in a lot of cases. So if you're using it correctly, you shouldn't be getting yelled at for it, but then also you don't want to just never use it, right? So I would just be careful. Fire strikes, peek faster with it. Remember, you can just kind of do the quick peek. You don't have to just sit here with it. And then shield management, so overall abilities like a medium again. Positioning, use cover, good positioning is usage of cover, bad positioning is the absence of cover. High grounds, pathing, think about where you want to approach from to get in there. Corners and cover and all that jazz. Overall, that was also like a medium. Mechanics, Reinhardt doesn't really have mechanics, but target priority, right? Who are you looking at and shooting at? Sigma, orbs, make sure you're trying to land them and putting effort into that. Overall, that was like on Sigma is much higher than Reinhardt, of course. Sigma is maybe like a medium priority. Then comes finally awareness, pay attention to, / aggression, right? Where's your team? Where's the enemy team? What's your health bar? What are all your abilities? What's happening in tab and kill feed? How does all of that impact your aggression, right? all of that jazz. Overall, I don't think that was like too massive. That was probably also like a medium, maybe even like, you know, lower end of a medium. So it's a lot towards the middle. So let's just like put things in order then. Number 1 is probably let's see. Not that. Honestly, we can probably put
Lost to the cosmos.
at your let's say ability usage, then positioning, then mechanics, then awareness, then finally ult usage, kind of lower down on the list. And then maybe you can say for Sigma, mechanics comes a little bit higher. Alright.
Okay.
Any final questions?
No, sir, not today.
Alright, cool.